Hello. So today we're going to talk about early America. Obviously, that is our first president, General George Washington. And yes, he is conquering some sort of android of some sort. And he has, it looks like a pistol and his eagle. So we're off to a really good start with America. So just a little background before we get into our main lesson today. But at this point, we're going to say early America as the time right after the Articles of Confederation, which we already have talked about. And we're going right into the Constitution, which we know is our second shot at making a government. As you can see here, we have three branches of government: the president, the Congress, and the Supreme Court. Here's how I like to think about what they do. When we think of who in a football team calls the plays, so who's actually determining what play is going to be run, that is the coach. So that is Congress. They are the legislative branch, they make the laws. Now, Congress doesn't actually run the play. That would be the quarterback. And the quarterback in our situation is going to be the president. And there's Cam Newton there for all you local people. And the president's job, the executive branch, is to enforce laws, which leaves us with the Supreme Court as the referees. They're the ones to say, was that a legal play? Was that a legal law? And that is because of judicial review, which we looked at with Marbury v. Madison. And we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail later on. So next, we have a real fine line between how the Constitution should be looked at. At this point in our government, it was not understood about, all right, we wrote these laws, we wrote these rules, we wrote how we're going to be governed in the Constitution, but how do you read into that? So if you are explicitly reading into something, then that's like on the picture on the right here. What are those? Those are shoes. So you're directly saying it, all right? And if you are implicitly saying something, you are reading between the lines there, that picture on the left. That is something that is, it's not in the Constitution exactly, it's just understood, which is the argument that was going on between Apple unlocking the iPhones for the FBI. You could make that argument right now for our political parties. Can they filibuster? Right in the news, the Democrats were doing a sit-in. Is that implicit or explicit? Can they do that? Can they not? And depending on how you interpret that, led us to our first political parties. Our first party here, we have the Democratic Republicans, and they wanted a small government. They did not want the government to interfere in people's lives. They really wanted what's called a laissez-faire approach to the economy. And for the most part, these Democratic Republicans are going to be from the South, specifically Virginia, like Thomas Jefferson here, and they're going to be slaveholders. And the North is going to host the Federalist Party. These are going to be people who want a big role of government. They want government to have a lot of power. This was really a fearful thing because we were just breaking up with our king. And one of the main proponents for that party is going to be Alexander Hamilton, shown on the right there. Thomas Jefferson, here's some of his beliefs. Again, he did not want manufacturing. They're from the South. They're all about self-government, self-reliance. You kind of have your farm, your plantation, and you don't really need anybody to tell you how to run your farm. Also, they wanted to keep the money in the South. They did not believe in tariffs. They did not believe in a national bank, which we're going to get to in a second. And then in the North here, you see you have what's his name? Chuck Norris, kind of like Hamilton, who wanted a strong government. And to have a strong government, you need money. Where are you going to get the money? You need to tax the people. And the main way you're going to make money after that is by manufacturing. So you need to tax imports, tax the British, tax the French. And those are called tariffs. And one of the main issues that we're going to look at today is going to be, should the United States, early America, have a national bank? Now, the main person wanting this national bank is Alexander Hamilton, who's never been a president. He's on the $10 bill there. And he is going to say that the main argument is we need a strong government. To do that, we need a strong bank so we can get rid of our debt caused by the war. Before our country was a country, we were a bunch of different colonies who all had their different currencies, all had their different debts. So he wanted to unite that all under one umbrella, and doing so would hopefully increase trade. And also, you can collect taxes, which is necessary if you want to run a government. Not a popular opinion, but it's a necessary one. And you can lend out loans to other countries, and then they have an investment in you. So today, what we're going to look at is this Hamilton versus Jefferson analysis. And personally, this was inspired by the play Hamilton. So I definitely wanted to have a part of that. So our first source, we're going to look at some text. Then we're going to look at some primary sources. And then finally, we're going to finish up with an art assessment. And right here, we have our first, on the left here is going to be the documents. And you will have this file. You'll be able to read through these and go through these. I'm going to go through them a little bit with you. And here is the analysis handout that you will be typing in. This is part of the flipped classroom that you do this assignment at home. You'll do parts 1, 2, and 3 at home. And then part 4 we'll work on in class, which is going to be the art part. And I'm going to get back to that in a second. So first couple documents here are from a text. This is from the American textbook. It's called The Americans, pretty fancy name. And right here we have a biography of both Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson. Hamilton is fascinating because he was an orphan at the age of 13. Dad ran away, mom died, and he really is a, by your own bootstraps immigrant who made himself in America. Thomas Jefferson, on the other hand, I'll let you read a little bit more about him, but he's a southern plantation owner, more or less an aristocrat, and they're really interesting people, both of them. So you'll fill out the biography section here, just a little bit of notes, what are they about, who are they about, and you'll fill that right here. Description of their views. Here's a neat little breakdown of their different views. You'll fill that out. Just summarize them. Please do not just copy paste those. And then finally, their political parties. So what were their parties about? How were they different? So this is just a really quick summary. And then B, this is an opinion question, which initially start taking an opinion. Which of the two do you think you most identify with? Small government, self-reliant; big government, hands-on. All right, and then that'll lead us to our primary sources here. So for both the primary sources, you're going to do these A through E questions. All right, and of them, they're both very similar. They're both letters to George Washington. This document 1 is from Alexander Hamilton, and document 2 is from Thomas Jefferson. I don't want to spoil it too much, but the sources I chose these very specifically because there's a lot of juicy, let's say, gossip going on. After you do this basic understanding of the sources, we're going to start analyzing them. All right. So in document 1, you'll read through and you'll kind of pull out some information. Same with document 2, and then we'll reflect on them in this analysis of both documents here. All right. So why were they writing? Both of them overall. Make sure you're pulling out support when you do these. That is very important to find a quote for your support. All right. That'll lead us to these next documents. We're back to the overall big picture here for documents 3 and 4. So we have a couple more textbook, just 2 paragraphs reading, so we can start looking at the issue of the bank. All right. So what was it? What does the text say? And then you need to start criticizing your textbook. What are they leaving out based on this primary sources you're reading? What's not in here? What can we determine? And that'll be analyzed here, all right, where you'll pick your quote. And then finally here for documents 4, there's a really neat farewell address from Washington that I think really we can learn a lot from, and maybe we don't. Okay, so that's the first 2 parts. Part one, part two, really some reading, some sources. And then we're going to look at part three, which is the musical Hamilton. Specifically, the song we're going to look at is the Cabinet Battle #1, which is almost a rap battle, which is it's an amazing job by Lin-Manuel Miranda in the hit musical Hamilton. So here's just a quick
for a cabinet meeting, huh? The issue on the table. Secretary Hamilton's plan to assume state debt and establish a national bank. Secretary Jefferson, you have the floor, sir.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
You get the idea. An amazing song, and it's an amazing song that it's about history. So what you're going to do here is listen to the song. I encourage you to listen to it more than one time. Maybe listen to it all the way through once and then go back and think about the lyrics. So as you're looking at the lyrics, we're going to do what's called a song chunk. All right, you're going to do what's your interpretation of the lyrics. So summarize it very simply. A couple words, summarize it. What's going on here? What are they saying? And then what is the argument dealing with the national bank, if there is one? So, for instance, here, Jefferson's life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and then he's saying, these are wise words, enterprising men quote them, don't act surprised, you guys, because I wrote them. So, what's he saying? He's saying, look, hey, I talked about all this, I'm really smart, listen to me. And then once you get to the Hamilton section, he really destroys Thomas Jefferson in an amazing way. So, after you listen to it, after you do your song analysis, you can do a responding to the song. So overall, how did you feel about the song? What's the emotion going on? What's everything happening with the song? Please fill that out again in this text box here, these graphic organizers. So that's the homework, those parts, and then I want you to start thinking about this assessment. So this is how you'll be graded overall. Here's your rubric, just so you know, and you're shooting for 5s here. You're going to create a piece of art, and I want you to represent the view of either Hamilton or Jefferson. If you want to do both points of view, if you want to do that, that's fine. I really want to leave this open for your creativity, all the juices to start flowing. So either do Hamilton or Jefferson, but your main idea here is to show their view. So you can pick an event like the National Bank, create a piece of art that shows that. You can pick a modern day event like the 2008 bailouts. Or you could do Donald Trump. How would Hamilton or Jefferson feel about Donald Trump today? The Brexit just happened. How would they feel about that with the pound going down? A lot of different things happening. Pick an event. Could be past or could be present. And show us, not tell us, show us how these two people would have felt. It's a very interesting thing to do. So I know that's hard. I want you to point out that while you're getting graded, most of this is not based on your creative skills. It's based on your historic context. Did you use your time wisely in your research? So that's all putting the effort in. If it's Hamilton, really show what he would have thought. If it's Jefferson, really show it. You could pick an issue like slavery. You can, whatever you do. And as far as what your art is, if you want to do a painting, that's fine. A picture, a video, you can create your own song, that's fine too. I'm not defining the medium by which you do your art. So whatever case you can do. This is the flipped classroom. So this is all due before you get in the classroom. And then part 4, we will do together. So you need to come in with that understanding. We will also debate in class Hamilton and Jefferson. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to email. All these sources and more will be provided to you. And I highly recommend listening to the whole Hamilton musical. It's an amazing piece of American art right now. All right, guys. Have a good day.